Hello, my name is Max Gaffin, and I'm here with Dr. Morton to speak about later start times in the Cherry Hill Public School District.
Absolutely. Hello. Great to be here with you today, Max.
Yeah, great to be here with you too. So what is the current status of the later start times committee that was, I think, put forth by the Cherry Hill Public Schools in general? And can you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the school steering committee has had two meetings thus far. The meetings have been informative. They have been intriguing, very interesting. It's been a great mix of a diverse array of individuals. So, two students from right here at High School East, I think the East Side's very own Aiden Rude and Gina Liu are part of that committee, as well as two students from High School West also, Haley Ivory and Sam Messias. In addition, we have central administrators, myself included. We have teachers from both schools taking part in that. We have community members and parents taking part. We have members of our zone PTA taking part. It's been outstanding. So very informative conversations that have taken place. We really tried to focus in and hone in on what the research says about adolescence, sleep deprivation, start times of school. We also had an opportunity to unpack just a bit the surveys that we sent out. So we sent out 3 surveys, one to our parents in the community. We sent one out to teachers in our secondary schools, grades 6 through 12, and then we sent out one to our students in grades 6 through 12 as well.
So you said that the committee has met twice thus far.
Yes.
So how often does this committee meet regularly?
Yeah, so for those that know me, you know that I'm a very assertive individual, and I like to try to see if we can move processes forward so we can get to like a final outcome or come up with a recommendation. So the committee has met on two occasions for full days from 8:30 to just about 3 o'clock on both of those occasions to go through the gamut of information that I just described already. We meet again on December the 10th, I believe the date is, and on December 10th, we hope that we're able to finalize and formalize recommendations that we can bring forward to our superintendent of board of education.
That sounds great. And also, so obviously this committee is there, but is there a certain goal that like the committee formulated before
That's a great question.
Yeah. So what is the goal of this committee, and how does it go about completing it?
Yeah, that's a heck of a question. That's a great question. So I think so for us, we're not operating from the perspective of should we move the start times back to a time more conducive with the biological and physiological makeup of adolescence. We approach it more from a perspective of what must we do in order to make it happen. So it's more of a definitive position that this is what we believe needs to be done. It is supported by the survey results, especially at the high school level. So we are operating from the perspective of here's what we're going to do, right? Push the time back. How do we do that? How do we make it work?
Mm-hmm. That sounds great. And you did speak about how we do have 2 Cherry Hill East representatives, and you do send out surveys and other ways, but especially as a student, as well as parents and teachers within our school community, how does the committee make sure that our voices on the subject matter is being heard? Are there any other ways that you can think of?
Yeah, you know what? So I definitely suggest that you guys cultivate the conversation. Something else that I had asked the administrators across all of the schools to do was to facilitate student voice dialogues and conversations, ongoing conversations with students in all 3 of the high schools. So assistant principals have been they did facilitate some conversations, but Dr. Perry, who's a part of the committee as well, is open to talking to students. I would suggest that students from East come forward and share their ideas and share their feelings with him. Dr. Damon, who's the principal of High School West, is a part of the committee also. I suggest students from High School West come forward and share ideas and thoughts with her. Mrs. Giordano, the principal of Alternative High School, is a part of the committee also. So I suggested her students do the same. And then I love to talk to groups of kids, to classes, and I'm willing to have the conversation with anyone. Just yesterday, a group over at High School West, a class invited me over. They wanted to have the conversation about this, and they wanted to talk, and they wanted to make sure I heard their voices. So it's as simple as students speaking to their teacher and say, hey, would you mind reaching out to Dr. Morton and asking him to come over? I'm always willing to have the conversation. Willing to have the conversation with student government groups or with yourself, the Eastside magazine, with anyone. I think it's such a great topic, great conversation, something that hits close to home for me as the father of multiple teenage kids and young adults as well. Use your voices. Use your voices. Share information, teachers, administrators, and then again, I'm available also.
I always like to believe that a movement starts with a conversation.
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Yes, it does.
So, and also in general, this is kind of just more of a general question, but have you and the rest of this committee really faced any obstacles so far, like within your process of it? And what have these obstacles been?
That is an outstanding question. Yes, there is. So there's a major obstacle that we have, and here's the obstacle. So whenever you go through a process like this, you don't want to make sure that decisions that are being made are representative of what people actually want, what the people in town want, because they'll have to experience it and live with it. So the survey went out to 3,915 parents. They went out to more, but that's how many people responded. 3,945 students responded, and about 450 staff members responded. The results were clear when you look at them in aggregate. Parents at the elementary and middle school levels are highly satisfied with the start times. Like 87% of parents are satisfied with the elementary start times. About 77% are satisfied with middle school start times. It's definitive, it's clear. When you look at high school start times, it sort of flips around. So there's dissatisfaction. So there's a 60% of the parents are dissatisfied with high school start times. Why? Because they experience it. Their kids have to get up early every morning, and they see that the kids are sleep deprived, and they see the effects of that. Students, it's very similar with students as well. Students generally, I didn't ask them about elementary start times, but middle school start times, pretty much satisfied with them. They're fine. High school start times, 60% dissatisfied. It was the same. Staff members followed the same trend. So now here's the conundrum that we're in. So we share our transportation, our buses, right? The buses pick you guys up, drop you off, then they go to the middle schools, pick them up, drop them off, go to the elementary schools and pick them up. That's the last run. And then the cycle repeats in the afternoon. If we move high school times, right, or wherever we move high school times, there will be an impact on the other levels as well. So how do we mitigate the impact on these other levels? Because people have already said they're satisfied with those times. So that's what we need to work through. Mm-hmm. And where we left off at our last meeting, the committee began to put some recommendations forward, and they were spirited conversations. Mm-hmm. Spirited conversations. I can tell you, the two representatives here from High School East, I love those kids. They're great kids. They really are pushing hard for the voices of the kids at East and what would work best for individual kids. But we'll see. We'll see how it all comes together.
Yeah. And clearly, everyone, as you said, your polls that you've taken, they weren't like unanimous in some way. So clearly, everyone has some sort of opinion on the subject matter. So
Sure.
It's important like that to obviously take in everyone's concerns as well as satisfactions. And just like one last thing. I know, like, especially as a senior here at East, I don't look like a senior. But
That's a good thing.
Yeah, so as a senior here at East, like, obviously, I'm not really sure, like, when the changes of this committee are going to come into action. Like, I probably will not be able to experience them within my time as a student.
Yeah, you want that.
Yeah, so, like, when like, do you believe, like, the process of this committee or with the process of the movement in general?
That's a great question.
When do you think it will really be put in place?
Yeah, great question. So the timeline that we created was a condensed timeline, and it was like, each month we have these like successive meetings, because my hope is that at the December 10th meeting we're able to come forward with we're able actually to put together a recommendation that I can bring forward to our superintendent that he's comfortable with, that he can bring forward and share with the board. I think we're well within a timeline if we're able to do that. Potentially where bus routes have to go out, we could potentially see a change as early as next year. As early as next year. So we'll see how the process proceeds on the 10th. It's tough. It's a tough conversation just because of what I mentioned about the other levels. But it's a power group that we have. It's a power group that we have, and I think I'm confident that the group will be able to come up with some suitable recommendations for moving forward. So, but great question. But again, I can't emphasize enough. Students, use your voices. Share your thoughts, share your beliefs about what we need to do and what that needs to look like, and we'll see. We'll take it from there.
Well, thank you so much.
All right.
As you can see, everyone has a lot to look forward to.
Yes.
So thank you. And
fantastic. All right. Thank you.
Sounds good.